this video, I won't be talking about Australia's broken system with non-existent pathways to the A-League, and instead specifically talking about Aussies or any players traveling to Europe and trying to make something happen with a club there. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Alan Derrett. I'm a full-time football agent and the owner of Australia's #1 player agency, Elite Football. We've partnered with over 25 professional clubs across Europe, UAE and South America, and only last month signed 4 players to different professional football clubs in Europe. So why is it so hard for Australians to go pro in Europe? Well, let's touch on the obvious. If you're living in Australia, your life is pretty much better than 60% of the entire population, regardless if you're middle to low class. And while it may not feel that way, it is important to recognize this fact when trying to become a footballer. Because at the end of the day, by default, you have the luxury to pursue whatever you want in Australia. Whether that's going to uni, picking up a trade, being on Centrelink, whatever you want. You can't really go wrong. But unfortunately, when it comes to football and when it comes to trialing overseas to try and make it pro, what most of my players struggle with and what I also struggle with is inherently the knowledge of this. Is that even if you fail, you'll have a plan B and you'll be okay. And at the end of the day, this is what kills most players. It's this mentality that differentiates you with the Argentinians or Brazilians that are trialing with you at the same club. The ones that come from favelas and they don't have a plan B because it doesn't exist for most of them. If they don't make it, they don't save themselves and their families back home. And you can see it in training. It's obvious the players that want it more. It's a mindset, you can't just recreate it. You're born with it. I struggle with this. I thought I was too smart to be a football player. And I remember trialing overseas and some players were training like their life depended on it because it did. I'm talking about things like breaking your teammate's nose with an elbow in training, targeting players that were in their positions because, as in like they're a left back, they'd purposely injure them in training because if they were injured, they would get that position, that starting role. It's a special mentality that I never had, and you probably don't either. So what can you do if this isn't you? It's not your fault your parents gave you a good life and you were born in a first world country, right? Well, it's not easy and you'll never be able to recreate that natural fire that others have. But there is something you can do. Firstly, you need to intentionally place yourself in environments that are going to push you to your limits. This might mean training with players that are a lot better than you. So on top of that, consider psychological training. Mindset is everything. And use to your advantage what maybe they don't have. Money. Work with the sports psychologist. Use it to enhance your mental toughness, your resilience, and maybe your hunger for success. Techniques such as visualization, goal setting, and mental rehearsal are not just buzzwords. They are ultimately your key to success mentally. Top athletes use these things day to day to handle the pressure that they have. Even for me personally, to this day, everything I do, I'm just running away from a life that I don't want to live. It's easier for you to think about where you don't want to end up than it is for you to visualize where you do want to end up. And so in order to move forward, maybe instead of focusing on the dream football life, focus on how bad it would be if you didn't become a footballer. What does that life look like? And use this as motivation to work towards that life. Work to get away from where you are. It's easier for the mind to respect that. Another approach is to emulate the hunger that you see in your international counterparts. Spend time understanding their backgrounds, their sacrifices, their stories. Let their journeys inspire you and use their desperation almost as a benchmark for your own level of desire and commitment. Sometimes understanding another person's path gives us a clearer understanding, a vision as such of how much we need to invest emotionally and physically in our dreams. That being said, accountability is crucial. Set high standards for yourself and keep a circle that holds you accountable. People who remind you of why you started maybe and push you when you feel like settling. Better yet, just do it yourself. Sacrifice comes hand in hand with success. Identify exactly what it is that you're willing to give up for your dreams. This could mean losing friends, your girlfriend or boyfriend, even going against your parents' vision. For me, I had to personally kill the vision that my mum had for me when I was 16. And our relationship was pretty rocky because of it for about 4-ish years, but it was what was needed at the time. I either had to kill the dream she had for me, which at the time was was going to uni and becoming a lawyer, or I had to kill the version of me that I wanted. From someone that's gone through it, never choose someone else's happiness over your own. You'll only ever go on to resent them for your own pressured actions. Short-term discomfort is always going to be better than long-term resentment. And your parents probably only want the best for you, but their idea of what's best for you is not accurate sometimes. Because at the end of the day, no one has to wake up in your body besides you. And as far as losing friends and partners, this will happen regardless whether you like it or not. Maybe not everyone, but for the most part, so don't lose sleep on it. And you probably already know, if you have friends that are going out, talking about the weekend and going to festivals, they don't serve you. Ultimately, eventually, you're going to have to cut out all distractions. Finally, constantly reflect and adjust. After every training session, every match, every interaction, ask yourself, did I do everything possible to be better today? If not, adjust. Learn from every no, every failure, every setback. Use them as stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. And as challenging as it may seem to ignite a fire similar to those born from tougher circumstances, remember that the heart of a champion, as cringy as it sounds, is never settling for less than your best. You may not have been born with their story, but you can build your own narrative of grit and ambition. Remember, it's not just about making it to the pro scene. It's about how you carve your own path there. Own your journey, push your boundaries, and let every step you take towards your dream be driven by a relentless pursuit of excellence. While the path may be different, the destination of greatness is the same. Keep pushing, keep striving, and prove them all wrong.